Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jamie Holmes in for Ann Emanuel. Harnell City Schools were under a brief lockdown today after police received a false alarm 911 call. According to the school district, a lockdown was ordered after reports of someone being shot near school grounds. After a brief investigation, police determined the call to be a false alarm. That lockdown was lifted after only a few minutes. Schuyler County residents are being encouraged to participate in National Drug Take-Back Day on April 30th. People can discard their unused or expired medications at the Odessa and Tyrone fire departments between 10 and 2 that afternoon. Medications can also be discreetly discarded at the Schuyler County Sheriff's Office and at the Human Resource Building in Montour Falls. Mansfield University announced that they will be building an autism resource center on campus. The facility will provide enhanced training and resources for students, families, and educators across the region. The resource center is being built using a $126,000 grant from the All One Foundation, which works to enhance healthcare in the Northern Tier. A historic moment on Capitol Hill today. The Senate confirmed Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Supreme Court. She will be the first black woman to serve on the High Court. Caroline Shively has more details from Washington.
A victory for the White House and Democrats in Congress as President Biden's pick for the High Court gets bipartisan confirmation.
This nomination is confirmed.
After days of contentious hearings and debate, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is confirmed to the Supreme Court.
This is one of the great moments of American history.
The vote, 53-47. All 50 Democrats in the Senate supported her, as well as 3 Republicans. The president watched the vote count with Judge Jackson at the White House. In her confirmation hearings, Judge Jackson spoke about the sacrifices her parents made in her upbringing and vowed she would decide cases from a neutral posture.
That judges can't make law. Judges shouldn't be policymakers. That's a part of our constitutional design.
During those 30 hours of hearings last month, Republicans tried to get a better understanding of her record as a federal public defender and as a judge. Many were not satisfied with her answers and criticized what they viewed as lenient sentencing for sex offenders.
The number of her cases that have been overturned only reinforces the fact that this requires a deeper look. And the deeper I look, the more I realize that her judicial philosophy is antithetical to mine. It's a really simple answer.
Judge Jackson won't officially become Justice Jackson until the court ends its term this summer. That's when Justice Breyer will retire. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Congress is officially voting again to increase pressure on Russia and go after their economy as the war in Ukraine continues. Plus, with more horrific images coming out of Bucha, Ukraine, the United Nations Human Rights Council voting whether to punish Russia. Lauren Blanchard is in Washington with more.
The Senate taking up 2 bills Thursday morning.
No senator voted in the negative.
To revoke normal trade status with Russia and ban Russian energy imports.
Putin must absolutely be held accountable for the detestable and despicable war crimes he is committing against Ukraine.
Following the Senate, both bills will need to be approved again in the House.
There's a lot of us who collectively believe that the administration is not doing enough. And we're looking for a lot of ways to get weapons to the Ukrainians.
The bill's expected to be signed into law by President Biden shortly after they pass Congress. He announced more sanctions on Wednesday to further squeeze Russia's economy.
Responsible nations have to come together to hold these perpetrators accountable. And together with our allies and our partners, we're going to keep raising the economic cost and ratchet up the pain for Putin.
In war-torn towns in Ukraine, the search continues for survivors and for bodies. Following the graphic images of bound and murdered civilians in Ukraine, the United Nations will vote on suspending Russia from the Human Rights Council. The United States led the call for the suspension and said Russia's seat on the council is a farce.
Russia's actions are beyond the pale. Russia is not only committing human rights violations, it is shaking the underpinnings of international peace and security.
The UN estimates more than 1,600 civilians have been killed in Ukraine, though they say the actual number is considerably higher. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
It has been an overwhelming sight for residents who returned to their hometown of Bucha, destroyed by Russian attacks. Bridges were destroyed, buildings bombed out. Torch tanks and cars are also seen in the aftermath. Families walked through the rubble Wednesday, some hugging and crying over their loss. In Irpin, the scene was the same, devastation. Ukrainian authorities are working to identify now hundreds of bodies found in Bucha and other towns after Russian troops withdrew. U.S. federal agents have stopped a Russian military hacking effort before it could begin. U.S. officials say the FBI has taken control of thousands of routers and firewalls away from Russian military agents. The FBI says they overtook the same infrastructure that Moscow agents were using to communicate with the devices. The FBI says the Moscow agents would have used the devices for a botnet, a network that can bombard servers with rogue traffic. The targeted botnet was controlled through malware to attack devices made by two U.S. technology firms. Not everyone is happy. President Joe Biden has decided to freeze student loan repayments again. Lydia Hugh explains why.
As the Biden administration extends the pause on student loan repayments for the sixth time, there's now a lot of frustration coming from folks that have already repaid their student loan debts. We talked with one man who paid $27,000 worth of debt off in just 11 months, and another young woman who is still working toward paying off her federal student loan debts and says the pause is just not right.
It's a transfer of wealth from everyday Americans to college-educated elites. I think it's quite unfair.
I knew what I set myself up for when I was taking out these loans. It's something that I committed to. You wouldn't sign a mortgage for a house and not pay your mortgage.
But this sixth pause on student loan repayments doesn't go far enough for some. Calls for loan forgiveness are growing louder among progressives.
The reality is that if we cancel 10,000 or 50,000 of our student debt, it's going to cost the government hundreds of billions or maybe trillions of dollars. And most of that benefit is going to go to people that are doing quite well.
And the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget estimates that canceling the full $1.6 trillion worth of federal student loans would add about 0.5% to the nation's inflation, a significant sum considering the target rate is about 2%, and the country is already running hot at almost 8% inflation over the last year. Reporting from Manhattan, New York, Lydia Hu for Fox Business.
Walmart announced it is raising pay for its private fleet of 12,000 truck drivers and launching a new fleet development program to train incoming drivers. According to Walmart, drivers can now make up to $110,000 in their first year at the company with that new raise, with the potential to make more in the future based on factors such as tenure and location. Todd Nelson is in next with our complete forecast, plus a closer look at the growing number of fentanyl overdoses across the nation. Stay with us.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Well, we had a pretty soggy day out there. Here is the radar and satellite view from earlier on Thursday. As you can see, some of the heaviest stuff shifting off to the east and northeast, even mixing in with a little bit of wintry precipitation, but some isolated thunderstorms off to the east and southeast as well. So tonight, we're going to continue to see some isolated showers, maybe not as heavy as it was earlier in the day, but temperatures will be falling through the lower 40s, winds fairly light, and then turning out of more of a westerly direction by early on our Friday morning. We will start off the day a little bit warmer than average at 38 in Elmira Corning. Our average overnight low is 31, and then 6:37 is our sunrise, but 7:40 is our sunset. Temperatures on Friday also topping out pretty close to where we should be, with some additional rain later Friday afternoon. So again, we'll call it showers tonight, not necessarily too heavy, still soggy into your Friday, especially again during the afternoon. Some rain and snow tries to mix in on Saturday, and then some of that potentially could accumulate a little bit off to the north and to the east, but some drier and cooler conditions develop on Sunday with some warmer sunshine on Monday. We should mention that we have a general thunderstorm threat Friday, again, later in the day when we add some daytime heating, we will see the skies become a little bit cloudier. But again, Friday into the morning, maybe starting off with a touch of sunshine, and then there are the spotty showers that'll develop. Again, maybe a clap of thunder, not expecting much by Friday night and early Saturday morning. Again, starting to note a little bit of blue showing up, and in some of the prone locations, the higher elevations, we may be seeing just some very minor coatings on grassy surfaces. So there's your precip now. Most of the heavy stuff shifting to the east as we continue on through our Friday night, but some wraparound stuff again Friday afternoon and to Saturday. Waking up to 38 degrees, again a little bit above average with those winds trying to switch out of the west a little bit more here. So again, waking up to readings that'll be into the 30s and 40s. Any thunder that we have, again, should be off to the east as that main line continues to push that way. But during the day, winds will be out of the west and southwest, gusting up maybe close to 20 miles per hour in the afternoon. There's a brief window of some quieter weather through late morning, early afternoon. Some showers develop, and again, maybe an isolated rumble of thunder later on in the day with some of that instability developing. It'll be fairly close to where we should be at this time of the year, to the mid-50s, but not very nice. Of course, those clouds and showers will make it feel a little bit cooler. And again, daytime highs region-wide will range from 52 in Wayland to, say, 56 in Binghamton. Here's the extended outlook, keeping us a little unsettled through this upcoming weekend at points during the overnight hours, trying to mix in with a little bit of snow. Sunnier and warmer, though, by your Monday at 61.
It doesn't cost a lot to get high on fentanyl, but federal officials say the deadly opioid is continuing to cost a high number of lives. Kevin Cork has more on the steady increase in overdoses and deaths linked to the narcotic, plus a look at why dealers are making illegal forms of fentanyl and lacing supplies of cocaine, methamphetamines, and OxyContin with it.
Drug Enforcement Administration officials say fentanyl is killing Americans at an unprecedented rate. The highly addictive opioid used for treating pain is 50 to 100 times more powerful than morphine and is contributing to a spike in deadly overdoses as dealers continue making illegal forms of the drug and selling it for cheap on the streets.
Almost half of all illicit fentanyl pills that have been confiscated contained at least 2 milligrams of fentanyl, which, as you heard earlier, is a potential lethal dose.
The CDC reports more than 100,000 people died from drug overdoses last year. 66% of those were due to opioids like fentanyl. And federal officials say mass overdose events, where 3 or more people overdose around the same time at the same location, are also rising, with at least 58 mass overdoses and 29 deaths nationwide over the last few months.
I went to touch him and he was so cold. And he was clutching his heart.
But just avoiding fentanyl pills isn't enough, as dealers lace other drugs with fentanyl to boost people's high and to get them addicted, causing users to unintentionally overdose on fentanyl they didn't know was mixed into their stash. The CDC says the number of teenagers dying from fentanyl overdoses has tripled over the past 2 years, causing some school districts to now carry the overdose treatment Narcan and increase staff training to administer it. I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
A California woman has been charged with assault for hitting a 12-year-old boy who was riding his bike on the sidewalk. The entire interaction was caught on the boy's camera strapped to his chest. Haley Winslow has the story.
Jeffrey says he was doing what 12-year-olds do best, being a kid, when all of a sudden he's attacked by an elderly woman.
Get the hell off the sidewalk now.
Excuse me?
Get off the sidewalk.
Please don't touch me. Why'd you just hit me?
Want me to hit you again?
What the f*** is wrong with you?
So she grabbed my bike and pushed me into the tree and then hit me in the back.
It really just made my blood boil, is the best way to put it.
It was Sunday evening, and Jeffrey was on his mountain bike with his best bud and a GoPro.
He had it strapped on his chest, and it was videotaping, so we're playing cops and robbers. I was the cop, he was the robber.
They were riding on the sidewalk inside their small, gated Santa Ana neighborhood when they got to Susan Garcia.
You don't touch me.
Oh, I'll do what I want. You tried to run
Mom!
on the sidewalk.
Mom!
Hey, come on out, Mom.
She just pushes him off to the side where the tree is, and then after just like hits him like this, like 5 times.
You hit my child?
Yes,
Are
she
you
did.
serious?
Yes, she just did.
It's a great thing that there's a camera strapped to his chest. Good. Right now. Come on, boy. Let's get it on. Let me
Get
see
away
it.
from me.
Come on.
Caught on video, the woman taunts Jeffrey while he backs his bike away from her.
I swear to God, if this old lady touches me again.
Dad comes out.
I can be. You touched my child and I'm calling the cops.
The cops come and Santa Ana police charge Garcia with assault. She wouldn't talk to us about the incident on our camera, but over the phone told me she's almost 80 and felt threatened and scared. Jeffrey's mom says this is not their first encounter with Garcia and that she needs help before she strikes again.
It's pretty scary to be a kid and have an adult come up to you and do that kind of a thing.
A police department in Arizona is using TikTok to promote traffic safety. Danielle Miller reports.
A few months ago, the Glendale Police Department decided to start a TikTok page. Videos on the page already being viewed millions of times. The purpose of the page? To spread awareness about traffic safety. Officer Tiffany Galula says it was also a way to humanize the badge.
We thought, we have some interesting motor officers that work traffic, and we could probably get some important traffic messaging out. Not only that, but we could broaden our base to an audience that we usually don't hit. You see a lot of younger people are on TikTok, and we need as many community members as we can, especially if there's important messaging that needs to go out. And a lot of times people think officers are kind of mean, or they think that they just aren't people, they're robots. We like to make them laugh, and by laughing, that's going to create more engagement.
The now very popular page has been dubbed Mustache Motor. The star of the show, motor officer Brian Hoskin, and his mustache.
I came into motors in 2018, and I always just kind of made fun that it's part of my contract that I signed when I came in, so it just started growing, and at one point it got really, really long.
Hoskin is seen in the videos with his counterpart, Officer Randy Price, talking about everything from seatbelt safety to modified exhausts. The pair hope to keep entertaining while informing the community they serve.
Well, they're fun. We just kind of come up with ideas, sometimes spur of the moment, sometimes we kind of plan them out, but not really, and they end up working out pretty good.
Danielle Miller, Fox 10 News.
More and more robots are becoming integrated into our daily lives, with fresh and exciting new inventions helping to make our lives more fun while advancing countless industries. Ashley Stromer has a special look at a handful of bots helping to make the world a better place.
New robotic inventions continue infiltrating the world around us, giving new perspectives on how people and machines can coexist. This robot in Japan is a prime example. Researchers use a process called deep imitation learning, where they showed the device how to peel a banana until it was able to do it by itself. And while the task may seem silly, engineers say it's important for robots to master refined human-like skills.
Welcome to Venice.
Meanwhile, scientists from the Italian Institute of Technology say the iCub robot can let you visit another country without actually going there. The team outfitted researchers in the Swiss lab with special gear, letting them maneuver the iCub all around Venice, roughly 200 miles away. Innovative gloves and headsets let the user feel what the robot is touching and let the robot mimic the user's facial expressions, speech, and movements. And speaking of tourist sites, the ruins of Pompeii have a new robotic guard dog called Spot. The device, designed by Boston Dynamics, is now patrolling the ancient archaeological site, warding off any thieves. But Spot isn't the only four-legged robot helper. This bot, designed by engineers in Switzerland, can also operate on all fours, driving around to assist in potential rescue missions and package deliveries. It can even stand on two legs to assist people in everyday tasks, like pressing elevator buttons and walking downstairs. Besides making our lives easier, researchers hope these new inventions will also create new opportunities in fields like tourism and medicine. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
We want to leave you with a smile. Your favorite animal, Buddy, can meet up with Peter Cottontail for a free photo and maybe some new Easter clothes. PetSmart is ready to put your furry friend into an Easter bonnet or special clothes collection, and they'll give you free snaps with the Easter Bunny. It's happening this Saturday from noon to 3. PetSmart recommends getting your pet ready by grooming them, playing with them, and bringing a favorite toy treat. A market research firm says pet owners spent some $103 billion on pet care in 2020. That does it for us. Thanks so much for joining us.